Welcome to the Mystic Media channel. I'm your host, Rubina Rastaban, aka the Realist Astrologer. And here is a continuation of a reading that I started doing about P. Diddy, also known as Sean Combs, also known as Puff Daddy, all that good stuff. So I'm going to read a little bit from his bio, well, about him from Wikipedia, but most of my viewers know about P. Diddy, Sean Combs, know who he is and all that stuff. But when I read from Wikipedia, I'm going to be relating it to some of the things I see in his chart. Now, it is real early in the morning, so you're going to have to excuse my voice. But I wanted to get this out now while it's fresh in my head because I was looking at his chart this morning and I was playing around with his proposed birth time because his birth time is unknown. Now, P. Diddy was born November 4th, 1969, but let me just share my screen and pull up his chart. At first, I was looking at his chart with a birth time of 1:47 p.m., and that was just an arbitrary time that I chose. But then this morning, I was thinking about wrong guy. That's Cassie. Hold on. This morning, I was thinking about P. Diddy, and I was like, I was looking at his Mars because I was like really thinking about his sexual profile. And I was looking at his Mars and I was like, his Mars is at the 29th degree of Capricorn. And I was like, what if it's at the 0 degree of Aquarius instead? And then, so I switched his birth time. I put it to 8:58 p.m. And again, that's just arbitrary, but I wanted to see what his chart would look like for a later birth time, and that would put Mars in Aquarius as opposed to Mars at the 29th degree of Capricorn. And his Mars being in Aquarius fits him much better than Mars in Capricorn, and for several reasons. So one of the reasons is the fact that he has changed his name quite a few times. So let me just go back to the Wikipedia and just show you how many times he's changed his name or how many aliases he has. So Sean John Combs, born November 4th, 1969, also known by his various stage names, Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, Brother Love, and B Love. So going back to his chart, that fits Mars in Aquarius more so than Mars in Capricorn because Mars represents your name, also your identity, and Aquarius deals with change. So this deals with him changing his name. Also, I'm starting to really think that he could have been born around this time because that would put Mars in the 7th house, which makes a lot of sense. I'm going to explain about that more in detail later. And that would make him a Cancer rising. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Cancer rising. Number one, he has that signature Cancer hair to me that looks soft, curly, like really soft to the touch. And he also has his moon, which would be his ruling planet, his chart ruler, in Virgo. And to me, P. Diddy definitely gives off Virgo vibes. So that would definitely play into that. And the fact that he started off as a dancer, and I always say Virgo can make a very good dancer. And the fact that he's had a lot of people under his wing, like he's taken a lot of people under his wing, basically employed them, having them work for him, all that type of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, another thing about him perhaps being a Cancer rising, and it's funny that I have it at the 18th degree. That would make a lot of sense. But he has a soft body. P. Diddy really never has been like cut in terms of his body. So that very much can be indicative of a Cancer rising male as well. Now, also about the name changes as well, or his aliases, that can also point to the moon being his chart ruler and being in sextile to his sun in Scorpio, because you could look at that as him reinventing himself, because the ascendant, with that Cancer ascendant, that deals with his name. So with the moon ruling Cancer, being his whole chart ruler, that very much deals with his name as well. And the fact that it's in sextile to his sun in Scorpio, Scorpio deals with transformation, deals with reinventing yourself, rebirth, all that type of stuff. So the fact that it's insexual to his moon shows that it works for him. Like when he does change his name, people will, adapt to it. They'll accept it, all that type of stuff. So I'm leaning towards the side of him being born around this time, around 8 o'clock, late 8 o'clock at night, because again, that 18th degree is very telling. I wouldn't be surprised. So going back to the Wikipedia post, he's an American rapper, singer, songwriter, actor, record producer, and entrepreneur, born in New York City and raised in Mount Vernon, New York. He worked as a talent director at Uptown Records before founding his label Bad Boy Entertainment in 1993. His debut album, No Way Out, has been certified 7 times platinum and was followed by successful albums such as Forever, The Saga Continues, Press Play, blah, blah, blah. Now, his success is really much due to the fact that he has Venus conjoined to Spica, and that is a fixed star that can bring wealth, fame, adulation from the public, and also it can protect you from nefarious influences. And because his Venus is in Libra, like I said before, when I was doing the live stream, that gives him protection from the law, like protection in with respect to legalities. So like I said before, he's had people take the rap for him, namely Shine and I think a couple of others, when he was in some kind of legal battle. Now, it goes on to say that in 2009, Combs formed the musical group Diddy Dirty Money, and I think he did them dirty, and released the critically well-reviewed and commercially successful album Last Train to Paris. Combs has won 3 Grammy Awards and 2 MTV Video Awards, and is the producer of MTV's Making the Band. I remember that. In 2018, Forbes estimated his net worth at $825 million, and also that points to his Venus being conjoined to Jupiter. That's big money right there. So he has Venus conjoined to Jupiter, and it's conjoined to Spica, so that makes him basically a millionaire, making him the second richest hip-hop recording artist. But the fact that the way he gained his money, a lot of times it wasn't on the up and up. A lot of times it was in a dirty fashion. Now, Sean John Combs was born on November 4th, 1969 in Manhattan's Harlem in New York City and was raised in Mount Vernon, New York. His mother, Janice Smalls, was a model and teacher's assistant, and his father, Melvin Earl Combs, served in the U.S. Air Force and was an associate of convicted New York drug dealer Frank Lucas. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. Now that would make sense because P. Diddy's sun is in Scorpio, so the sun can represent your father. Scorpio deals with crime, gangsters, all that stuff. At age 33, Melvin was shot to death, and Scorpio deals with death. Was shot to death while sitting in his car on Central Park West when Combs was 2 years old. Wow. Combs graduated from the Roman Catholic Mount St. Michael Academy in 1987. He played football for the academy, and his team won a division title in 1986. Combs said that he was given the nickname Puff as a child because he would huff and puff when he was angry. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about with his chart. Let me just pull it up right here. This is another reason why I feel like he is a Cancer rising, because just that puff. First of all, his name Puffy, but also, again, when you take into account that his moon would be his chart ruler, if he was a Cancer rising, and the fact that he's a mouth breather, and that would place his moon in the 3rd house. So, like, he got issues with, like, breathing and stuff. Like, he always got his mouth slightly open, and that's very much like that Virgo influence. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Cancer rising. Now, moving along. Oh, let me go back. Oh, before I do that, let me go back to it. I keep on. Now, his Mars is in square to Saturn, and that deals with his father being shot, because Saturn represents father. So that points to his father being shot, and I guess it was over money because Saturn's in Taurus. So, and then Mars can deal with his an associate of his father. So yeah. So again, that reinforces what I said about his Mars being in Aquarius as opposed to Capricorn. So let me just go back to Wikipedia. So Combs became an intern at New York's Uptown Records. While talent director at Uptown, he helped develop Jodeci and Mary J. Blige, in his college days, Combs had a reputation for throwing parties, some of which attracted up to 1,000 participants. Again, that reinforces his Mars being in Aquarius as opposed to Capricorn. In 1991, Combs promoted an AIDS fundraiser. Also, that speaks of his Venus being conjoined to Jupiter, him throwing those big parties and having a big turnout. College parties at that, because Jupiter represents colleges. But Jupiter also represents things that are large in number or just, an abundance. So that Venus conjoined to Jupiter very much points to that as well. Now, in 1991, Combs promoted an AIDS fundraiser with Heavy D held at the City College in New York gymnasium following a charity basketball game. The event was oversold and a stampede occurred in which 9 people died. Oh, let me see if I can see that in his chart. Now, one thing about when he was with Uptown Records, there was a scandal because supposedly, if my memory serves me correctly, he was basically acting like he was the CEO. And that speaks to his Mars being in square to Saturn. Now, that can also deal with the death of those people for that charity event. But the fact that he puts on these charitable events, that speaks to his Sun in Scorpio, or I'll say fundraiser, because Scorpio is the sign of fundraising. So his Sun in Scorpio being in sextile to the moon, that's him being able to generate a lot of people that are willing to, donate funds for a certain cause. And then the Mars in Aquarius, that deals with the cause as well. But squaring Saturn, that could deal with where he ends up getting more than what he bargained for as a result of putting on these events. So that makes a lot of sense. And his North Node being in Pisces does show in this lifetime he does need to be charitable. But that North Node in Pisces also speaks to the fact that, he has this, he's a music mogul, basically, his career within the music industry. Also the film industry as well, because he had a bit role in Monsters Ball. All right, let me go back. His Neptune sextile Pluto can also deal with the fundraising events, charitable events, all that. So I hope you can see by now, like already, that P. Diddy's chart is showing that he can be quite a ruthless individual. Okay, so here's the part where he got fired. In 1993, after being fired from Uptown, Combs established his new label. So they're not saying why he was fired, but basically that's what I was talking about. So he was fired for basically assuming the role of CEO and usurping Andre Harrell's authority. So I'm not going to continue reading. You get the gist of it. But I really wanted to get into P. Diddy's character and his sexuality, because it's been widely rumored that P. Diddy is bisexual. Some people just call him straight up gay. And his Mars being in Aquarius would definitely point to him being either bisexual or homosexual, especially since it's at the 0 degree, only a few minutes in of Aquarius. Now, I'm going to pull a tarot card just to represent P. Diddy's character and see if it matches up with his chart. Also, let me make sure I'm sharing my screen, because sometimes I want to be on his chart. Okay, so another telling thing about P. Diddy is he has his South Node in Virgo and it's conjoined to Pluto. And that right there deals with the people that he hires, the musical talent, and where he could be very exploitative, very manipulative, where basically he takes them, uses them for what they are worth, and then discards them. So he just has that naturally with him to basically be an exploiter and user of people who come under his wing, people who he hires to record records, to record music for him. So he's like done so many people dirty. Mary J. Blige, um, that Diddy Dirty Money group, Loon, Mace. Mace actually found God after dealing with P. Diddy. So P. Diddy, the fact that his Pluto is conjoined to his South Node, and I need to get my little spotlight here. The fact that Pluto is conjoined to his South Node shows that he is just coming from a position of being a very dark-sided person in a past life. So it's really no stretch that he is the way he is in this current lifetime. Also, the fact that his Venus and Jupiter are both at the 22nd degree, that is a degree of entitlement. And it's also a degree of disloyalty. And that very much also echoes the themes of his Mars in Aquarius. Also, that 22 is very much about associations and where you benefit from others' success or benefit from the talent of others. So again, with P. Diddy's Mars in Aquarius, he needs others to define him, or he needs others to make him successful. So he's really not, although he was a decent dancer and stuff, if you think about it, P. Diddy's really not that talented in his own right. And that's why he surrounds himself with a bunch of talented people. Let me just pull a card to represent his character. I got 9 of Cups. That right there is somebody who feels like they are entitled to receive whatever they desire. That is a person that is always looking for, that, what do you call it? I'll say that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Somebody that is very much indulgent, somebody that could be very much addicted to certain sensations or addicted to certain things, someone who can't get enough, is very much about, and this could deal with this North Node in Pisces, especially it's at the 18th degree. Somebody that is just very much wanton, hedonistic. So that 9 of Cups says a lot about him. Also, you could look at the 9 of Cups as musical acts, all of his musical acts that he has taken under his wing, but also has exploited. So that 9 of Cups is a Pisces card. So that makes a lot of sense with his North Node being in Pisces. So you see how tarot works? Like tarot always will relate it to, like if I do tarot in relation to someone and I'm looking at their chart, there'll always be a corresponding planet or point in the chart that corresponds to the tarot card. Now, he has Sun and Mercury in Scorpio, and that Scorpio energy can produce someone of prominence, someone of tremendous power and influence, but it can also produce someone that is manipulative, someone who will exploit others for their own gain, someone who engages in power plays, someone who is very much about being in control. So he is a very controlling individual. And let me see. In terms of let's just get into his sexuality. Like let's just get right into it. So, like I said, I believe his Mars is in Aquarius. So again, that produces someone that could be homosexual, could be bisexual, someone that, like in the most general sense, that's somebody that has unconventional or alternative desires. This could be someone who is a stone cold freak. Now his Mars is in square to Saturn, and that could point to perhaps he has a small dick, like he's kind of on the small end, and perhaps that can make him overcompensate in other areas where he's very controlling as a result of him feeling like he's not that manly. Also, that Mars square Saturn can mean that he can be quite sadistic during sex. He might like to punish his lovers during sex. He can be quite controlling. And that could deal with, again, that's like reinforcing his abnormal sexual desires that he tries to keep under wraps, because Saturn and Taurus, that could bring a need to be normal or a need to appear like everything is above board, or that you're just, doing things in a conventional way. Now, with his Well, I'm saying I'm proposing him being a Cancer rising, so that would put his Mars in the 7th house, and that would make a lot of sense, being as though, like I said, he's very sexually unconventional, and this would point to his relationships. Now, his Mars is in trine to Uranus, and that means that he's very liberal when it comes to his sexuality. Again, that can reinforce him being a freak. That can point to him putting on sex parties, being into group sex. Also, it points to him being very experimental. He also has Mars trine Pluto, but it's a dissociative trine, but it still is a trine in terms of degrees. So that could deal with him being into group sex, orgies, where he's very much open to different sexual flavors. Like a Mars trine Pluto person, they could be attracted to almost anything. Not saying everybody with Mars trine Pluto is like this, but especially the fact that he has Pluto in Virgo. So I see that aspect with him as him being a switch hitter. He can have sex with women, he can have sex with men. It really don't matter. Actually, with his chart, especially with that Pluto conjoined to his Virgo South Node, I wouldn't even trust him with my cat. Rest in peace, Day Day. But for real, I mean, he's just a freak like that. Like, he's liable to do anything, it seems like. He also got Mars sextile Neptune right here, and with Neptune being in Scorpio, that could deal with where he's open to sex with, even transgender individuals. So yeah, where he's also just open to different taboos, different forms of sex that others would consider taboos. Another thing that I thought was very interesting is, and this especially deals with the fact that his South Node at the 18th degree of Virgo is conjoined to Pluto. He has Mars square Saturn, and also when you take into account his Mars sextile Neptune, to me that looks like when in his younger days he was involved in that sex trade, like he was doing sexual favors to get ahead in the industry, or maybe even just to get money, period. So I wouldn't put it past P. Diddy to be like this, especially with his South Node at the 18th degree. That 18 can make you hypersexual, but it can also make you very opportunistic, make you very exploitative, and where you may be willing to do something strange for a piece of change. Now, he has Venus conjoined to Jupiter, and like I said, that points to big money and all that stuff. I said it also points to where he feels entitled to other people's money, or entitled to basically benefit from other people's talent, success, all that type of stuff. But that also makes him very idealistic when it comes to women. Also, where like the average woman just doesn't do it for him, you might as well say. He loves exotic women and women of different races, and you can even say extraordinary women. Now, that brings me to Cassie, because I see Cassie as one of those extraordinary women. And this is where this could get quite controversial. Now, let me just pull up Cassie's chart because, wait, wrong person. Wrong person. Hold on. Okay. So Cassie has Venus conjoined to her South Node in Libra. So that puts P. Diddy's Venus and his Jupiter right in between her Venus and her South Node. So that can explain why they've broken up, because basically they're like, that can point to a relationship that's very one-sided, basically where P. Diddy is in total control, because Cassie is coming from a position of being in relationships where she has no control, where it's all about the partner, and where she basically loses herself when in a relationship. Now, she was born August 26, 1986. That makes her a Virgo, makes her a 26, which makes her very ambitious. And it can result in her partnering up with someone mainly for material gain. So you could look at her kind of like a gold digger too. And with Venus being conjoined to the South Node, that can mean that, she's very much about money and will get into a relationship for money, for monetary gain. Now, her North Node is in Aries, which means that in this lifetime, she's supposed to try to be an individual. She's supposed to try to be her own person. She's supposed to try to make a name for her own self and not be dependent upon others and not place too much emphasis upon being in a relationship. But with her, it's not easy because her Venus is conjoined to her South Node in Libra. So in this lifetime, she probably won't evolve, but she's trying, which explains why her and P. Diddy have broken up. Now, Cassie's sun is in square to Saturn, so I'm just going to read off from my list that I wrote of some of the things that this sun square Saturn could represent. Now, her sun is at the 3rd degree of Virgo. Saturn is at the 3rd degree of Sagittarius. So that is a very strong aspect in her chart. And it points to her relationship with P. Diddy. It basically lets you know that P. Diddy was totally controlling her in that relationship. Now, with this sun square Saturn, Cassie can't be true to herself. She can't be her true self. So this aspect is taken away from this Aries North Node. So this is how she's supposed to be. Also, she doesn't feel free. She may not be able to have children with this sun square Saturn. And one of my viewers commented and asked why, they've been together, I think 7 years and they've never had any children. Well, it looks like Cassie can't have children, or I can't say can't have children. It looks like she might have some difficulty having children of her own, biological children, because of this square right here. This can point to problems with getting pregnant, but also if you get pregnant, it brings a high chance of miscarriage and also stillbirth. Now, also, this sun square Saturn, like I said, with her relationship with P. Diddy, that means that she attracts men that want to be in total control over her. I say total or full control because it is Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is like, you could say even where it goes overboard with the control, where she doesn't have any freedom. Now, this can also deal with where she is preyed upon by older men, or maybe growing up she was preyed upon by older men, and she is much younger than P. Diddy. Also, this points to her being used and exploited. And also it points to her having a manufactured image. Now stay with me on that because I will get to that in a minute. I'll get deeper into that about the manufactured image. And again, you could credit P. Diddy with that. Also, this points to where she's prone to depression and also self-loathing. And also where she could have lacked a childhood. She could have, been lacking love. She might feel like she's incapable of being loved, hence her reason for getting with P. Diddy. And also this square could deal with where she has a handler. Her Mars is in Capricorn, which means that, she can toe the line when necessary. Also, you could point to this Mars in Capricorn as where she is a gold digger. She's very much about status. She's very much about material gain. Now, her Venus, again, being conjoined to South Node, that's very telling. That points to challenges with maintaining balance. Also, where she's being too focused on the opposite sex, being what others want her to be instead of just being herself, living for her partner instead of living for herself, being someone that she's not, having a weak sense of self, and lacking a backbone. And also where she could have some issues with female hormones. Now, her Venus is also in Sesame Square with Jupiter and Pisces, and this can point to there's some type of illusion going on with Cassie, where again, she's not being who she really is. So I'm going to pull up this slideshow real quick, just so I can show you what I'm talking about. And this is where I have to make my disclaimer, because right now it could get quite controversial because, it could get quite controversial because of what I'm about to propose. And this is just speculation on my part, but I felt this way ever since Cassie has come on the scene. And one thing about me, like I said before, I've been blessed with the gift of discernment. Okay? So I can see things that other people can't see. Now, I already said, well, if you know anything about the industry, you know that, basically the music industry, the film industry, it's one of illusion. It's ruled by Neptune, and Neptune rules illusion. So I start this slideshow off with the quote, appearances are often deceiving, and that's an Aesop quote. You heard of Aesop fable? So here's my disclaimer. So basically, ever since Cassie came on the scene, I suspected her of being a transgender female, male to female transgender individual. And I just have this strong feeling with some people that I see in the entertainment industry, and Cassie has always been one of those people to me that I suspected of being transgender. And that would explain why P. Diddy has held her so closely to him and has been like basically where it does seem like he is like very much in love with Cassie. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's taking this breakup hard, and I wouldn't be surprised if they end up getting back together. Now, so I'm going to go through some of these slides just to show you pictures of Cassie, just to show you what I'm talking about. And again, I'm not saying this, I'm not, trashing transgender or nothing like that. It is what it is. There are transgender individuals in the world. There are transgender individuals in the entertainment industry, and not all of them are out of the closet. So I suspect Cassie of being a transgender female, but she's still in the closet. Like, she hasn't revealed that. And P. Diddy does have some aspects in his chart that shows that he could very much be into transgender females. Like, he has Mars trine Pluto. He has Mars sextile Neptune. His south node is conjoined to Pluto in Virgo. And that right there, I see that as perhaps role reversal, where he's into role reversal. So where, he thinks it's like pretty sexy to be with a lady boy, so to speak. He thinks it's pretty sexy. And again, you got to think about how Scorpio operates, especially a Scorpio that's very sexually liberated. So I see this South Node conjoined to Pluto in Virgo in P. Diddy's chart, basically where he's into perhaps BDSM. So that would be that bondage, dominance, sadomasochism, and also where he wants his partners to be completely submissive. Now, he was dating Cameron Diaz, which I feel like is another suspect transgender female. He was dating Cameron Diaz at one point, and I was like, I'm not surprised, because I've heard about Cameron Diaz being pretty, like, being a straight up like freak and nasty and all that type of stuff, like where she's willing to do anything. And that's what P. Diddy likes. P. Diddy likes, smuts, and he likes sluts and all types of stuff. Like I said, he likes a mixed bag of things. He's not the type that's just confined to heterosexuality. And then even that, he's not just confined to just regular vanilla homosexual. I feel like with him it's basically anything goes, but what he really likes is women like Cassie, who I suspect of being transgender. So also you could look at the South Node conjoined to Pluto and Virgo as him wanting to mold a woman according to his specifications, because that Virgo part would deal with specifications. And also think about how Virgo is perfectionistic. And like I said, with his Venus conjoined to Jupiter, he's very idealistic when it comes to women. So, and he's into women who are extraordinary in some way. And you could look at that Pluto conjoined to his South Node in Virgo as where he gets off on the fact that only he can see who she really be. If you understand what I'm saying, like only he can see who Cassie really be, or only people in his close-knit circle may know. But like I said, I feel like with P. Diddy, anybody can get it. Man, woman, transgender, handicap, whatever. I just think like he's just into all types of stuff. But he really took a liking to Cassie in particular, because Cassie, in my opinion, in my speculation, is a transgender female. And again, I have to say that Some people might be saying, oh no, I don't believe it and all this stuff. She's, looks feminine, all that stuff. Trust me, some transgender women can really pass and can fool most, if not everybody. So don't think for 1 second that all transgender people, male or female, can easily be identified. Some of them can pass very well, male and female. I've seen both where they can pass very well. And you can see it in the chart. You'll be able to see in a chart whether a transgender individual can pass as the opposite gender and those who have a hard time passing. So let me just go through some of these slides and then maybe you'll see what I'm talking about. But I have a very good eye for these things. Like I said, I've been blessed with the gift of discernment. And ever since Cassie came on the scene, and I did like that song she put out, Me and You. Somebody in the comment section said they hated it, but I like that song. It's actually on one of my playlists. It's me and you now. I've been waiting. Think I'm gonna make a move. I told you earlier, my singing voice is just off. But anyway, I thought that song was very sweet. But if you look at that video even, I remember when I saw the video for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, that's a dude. I was like, that's a boy. All right, so enough about that. Let's get into these slides. Now, I didn't read up on Cassie about her ethnicity, but she looks Thai to me. Look, she looks like she could be from Thailand or Vietnam or something like that. And one thing about them and Hispanics, like Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Mexicans, they can, well, not really Mexicans, but Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, those males, they can really pass as females, like, because they just have that, a lot of them have them soft, very pretty features. A lot of them are pretty boys anyway. And that's what I see Cassie, like when I first saw Cassie, I was like, that's a pretty boy. So you can kind of see in this picture what I'm talking about. Here's another picture. Again, when I'm seeing this, I'm like, that's a pretty boy. And see, I got Mars in Gemini. So my Mars is in Gemini, and it's in trine to Venus in Libra. So that can explain why I do have this eye where I can point out androgyny and be able to discern, okay, is that a male? Is that a female? Bam. So here's some more pictures. This one to me is very telling. Look at the neck. Now, Cassie is pretty small in weight. She's 5'6", so she's tall for a woman, but she's pretty demure, like pretty tiny in terms of weight and body size. But look at that neck. Look at the jawline. Look at this manly arm right here. That is not an arm of a woman that is Cassie's size. Now, I'm not trying to make this one of these trans investigations. Like, I know y'all, some of y'all have probably seen some of these videos on YouTube and all that stuff. Now, I do believe some of them, but I think some of them be just, going overboard and be saying everybody's transgender. I don't believe everybody in Hollywood or the music industry is transgender like some of these people be saying. But I do believe there are some, and I believe Cassie is one. And this, to me, this is one of the most telling pictures. Also, if you look at the torso, very manly. Next picture. Again, now some people would say, oh, well, she looks like a female here and all this stuff, but I'm still seeing pretty boy. And look at this hand. This hand is pretty big for her to be a female. I'm just saying. I'll say biological female. And then, the brow ridge. But, there's some women that got prominent brow ridges, so you can't always see, like, that's the thing. You can't always just say, oh, because this person got a longer ring finger than their index finger, or because they got a prominent brow ridge, that means they're a man. Because there are some women that just naturally have more testosterone than the average woman, or less estrogen or whatever. So you are going to have some people that are just naturally more androgynous, but then, you got to take a bunch of factors into account. So again, I'm seeing where she could definitely be a boy with this picture, but some people might beg to differ. Here's another picture where I feel like I'm seeing very much pretty boy. So basically, I'm seeing Cassie as being P. Diddy's boy toy, but transgender female, but she started off as a boy. And I'm suspecting Cassie maybe had going through the transition as a child, because you have some in the industry that were forced into this life by their parents. So I'm suspecting of perhaps Cassie being one of these transgender individuals that was where this life was forced upon her, and that would speak of her Venus being conjoined to her South Node. Now, remember I talked about the Venus being conjoined to the South Node. That could point to, again, like I said, the female hormone issues, or where she was forced to take feminine hormones or female hormones. And also going back to her Sun square Saturn, that could deal with the negation of masculinity, the negation of her manhood if she was born a male. Even the hairline, if you look at the hairline looks very mannish to me too. Or I'll say boyish. She doesn't look like a man, she looks like a boy. That's the thing, because she does have that cute little boyish look, like very attractive individual, and that's how she's able to pass, in my opinion. Very cute, cute as a button. Here's another one that I feel like is very telling, especially when you look at the waist area, the belly area. This looks very manly to me. This doesn't look feminine to me. Also the hips as well. You can't really tell with the jacket kind of coming down, but like if I could cover the face right here, that and the breast, that looks like a man. Like just put your hand over the face and the breast, and that looks like a man's belly. Now I love this picture. I ain't even gonna lie. Now this is like the height of androgyny to me, and I think it's sexy as hell. So, and again, my Mars is in Gemini, trine Venus in Libra. So I am kind of attracted to that androgyny thing. So it's like I have an eye for it. So this right here, like forever, whoever was a photographer and the makeup artist, I think this was like dope. But again, I'm seeing pretty boy. Not so much girl. I'm seeing more so pretty boy. Especially if you were to remove that hair, remove the hair. Also, kind of look at the wide shoulders. They always say that men, their shoulders are like two head widths. Like a head could fit here, a head could fit here, where a woman is only a half of a head width. And that's how you could tell with the shoulders. But I love that picture. I like this picture too. The makeup is fierce. But again, if you really look with discernment, you can kind of see that that could be a boy instead of a girl. Here's another one. Prince would be proud with this androgynous look. So again, I'm seeing perhaps pretty boy instead of girl. But again, some of you people might disagree. I might lose subscribers over this, but I keep it real. And some things I just believe in my heart. And I just feel this way about Cassie. And again, no shade, because this is real. There are plenty of transgender individuals, and the population is growing. So, transgenderism is alive and well. So we might as well get used to it, and we might as well start accepting the fact that some of these people that look like they're one gender were actually born another gender. I mean, and the powers that be, they keep thrusting it out into the mainstream, but then when people talk about it, people get all bent out of shape and stuff. But like I said, it is what it is. Some people in the industry are not what they seem. Here's another one. Now, this is arguably, some people would say, well, no, she looks like a girl here and all this stuff. But again, with my discernment, I'm seeing pretty boy. But, some people could say, oh, no, she just has those chiseled features. Now, she does have Mars in Capricorn, and that can produce the chiseled facial features. So, yeah, but like I said, with what's in her chart, I'm leaning more so to her being transgender. And that would explain why P. Diddy was so in love with her and P. Diddy got with her. Now here's another one. Mainly what I included this because I wanted to show the shoulders again. Now again, Cassie is small in stature, but if you look at the shoulders, and this is bone structure. This ain't even muscle. This is bone. Like, so men's skeletal structure is much more prominent than women's, especially when we're talking about the shoulders like this. So I think this is very telling as well. And in the face, she just looks like a cute boy. Like, she looks like a pretty boy. This right here, is, some people might say, oh no, she looks like a cute girl. She actually kind of looks like Adrienne Bailon right there. Her teeth are kind of messed up though. She a Virgo though. A lot of Virgos, they have issues with their teeth. But yeah, you could kind of see the wide shoulders here. And where the shoulders don't slope down like a woman's, they're more so straight like that. So, and here's the last picture, Cassie and P. Diddy. So, like I said, Cassie does a good job as passing for a female, but with my level of discernment, I see otherwise. And knowing who P. Diddy is, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, one thing that I noticed when I used to watch Love and Hip Hop, what was it, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta with Stevie J? And remember, I put out the video about Stevie J being into transgender women, and that has been rumored. Even Jocelyn had said that. So, damn, what was I just saying? So, I'm talking about P. Diddy, even because I got mixed up because the screen went black. So, oh man, what was I just about to say? I totally forgot what I was about to say. Oh yeah, this is what I was about to say. So the Love and Hip Hop episode, I remember there was one episode where P. Diddy came on and he met with Stevie J, and they were real chummy and stuff. Two Scorpios laughing it up, and I thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, they got something in common. Because I believe Jocelyn is transgender, and I believe Cassie is transgender, and it seemed like they did have some inside joke going on when they was all chummy together on that episode. I'm just saying. So I see P. Diddy and Stevie J both being into transgender women, and that's just their thing. And Scorpio is one of those signs that could potentially be into that flavor. So I'm just saying. So let me know what you think in the comments section. If you would like a reading, you could go to my website at rabina.com, and I will be back with more videos. And I'm thinking about going live today. So let me know in the comments section if you want me to go live. And if you do, you can post some possible main topics that I could get into. All right. Peace and many blessings, and I will see you later.